Everything about it was evil. I could see evil, perverted things going on inside of it. Some type of greater beings abusing people in the worst and sickest ways, including myself. They were pretty human looking, obviously much bigger, but I can't remember any of their faces. And I could see them all flying around and abusing my body in the most perverted and sadistic ways. And the only feeling I could get from them was evil and punishment. I started to lose myself in my fear, as my every horror was being displayed right in front of me. This is a combination and summary of two different trips of the same dose, both leading me to the same place. So I'll start with a little background, I suppose. Since I was 15, I was always fascinated with DMT and its power, but never able to find it until very recently. I have a pretty large psychedelic history, so I felt more than prepared for this. Prior to this experience, I've had about 3 low-dose experiences with DMT, and one other breakthrough that was very different to this one, all in the past 6 weeks. I also educated myself to the fullest about the substance, searching for its meaning. So at this point, I was all about finding and obtaining the massive amounts of knowledge that DMT can offer me about bettering my consciousness, life, existence, and afterlife. I spent about 10 minutes meditating on what I wanted to gain from the experience and got ready to go. I had about 300 milligrams of freebase and loaded about 75 milligrams into my pipe. One massive hit, breathe it out, and everything starts to bend. I take a second massive hit, close my eyes, and am instantly flooded with very intense closed eye visuals. I breathe out, open my eyes, and take the third huge hit, finishing the dose, with the help of my brother. I'm gone. Everything starts to bend and shake excessively, from my body to the objects around me. I close my eyes and see total darkness. I'm no longer in my room, or anywhere really. In my past experiences, I was sent to a place I knew as DMT hyperspace, where everything was made up of the same color-changing, shape-changing, fabric-like liquid that formed different worlds or objects, beings, or even myself. This time, I also saw that same world for a short time and immediately found a center. I zoomed into the center point. It was the most magnificent, impossible, surreal object I had ever seen. It was an impossible morphing cube-shaped object, made up of physically impossible geometric shapes and patterns, with different impossible shapes and patterns within them. As I was looking at this object, after about what seemed like 2 to 3 seconds, I had a realization that I shouldn't be mystified by this thing, because it was trying to distract me, but rather look past it and see. And that's when the magic happened. The remainder of the experience after this is still coming back to me in bits and pieces, so I will connect it all the best I can here. The next thing I can remember was seeing a giant spiral-shaped structure made out of that same material that seemed to go down forever. I then instantly felt a presence enter me, an open communication, so to speak. I found myself flying towards the top of the spiral. I was now face to face with the entrance, and then I somehow started rapid-firing questions at this other consciousness. What is it? No answer. Do I have to make it? No. Do I have to eat it? No. Touch it? Be it? No. Then it hit me. I have to go in it. Now the way it was communicating wasn't through words, but some type of buzzing. The no was like a boring buzz, and the yes was a super clear, loud buzz that was filled with such excitement and urgency that I almost jumped in right there. But I wondered and asked, "What's in there?" No answer but a feeling of disappointment. So I started to look closer for myself and try and see what's inside. I couldn't see down the spiral, but I did see what it appeared to be. Everything about it was evil. I could see evil, perverted things going on inside of it. Some type of greater beings abusing people in the worst and sickest ways, including myself. I was then faced with a choice: listen to them, go in, and see for myself, or refuse whatever lay in store for me and leave this place. I sat on the verge for quite a while, unable to decide. As I was thinking, I could feel extreme anger, hate and evil building every second. And then, suddenly I was somewhere else. All the light was turned on and the darkness was pulled away. As crazy as this sounds, everything I explained thus far in my trip existed in a little impossible cube of its own, on the bottom of the shoe of some greater controlling force that was stepping on me, thus blinding my vision with the distraction I had explained earlier. An immediate sense of infancy, inferiority, and worthlessness came over me as I realized that my whole world is nothing more than a speck on the bottom of someone's shoe, and that they have the power to control anything and everything about me. They were pretty human looking, obviously much bigger, but I can't remember any of their faces. They were all really angry with me, and I could see them all flying around and abusing my body in the most perverted and sadistic ways. They were really mad at me, and the only feeling I could get from them was evil and punishment. At this point, I started to lose myself in my fear, as my every horror was being displayed right in front of me. I then started to fight and look away. They grabbed me and were trying to physically force me into some kind of container and shut the door forever. I fought, and they pushed the lid on, trying to close it. Eventually, I suppose I was stronger, as they couldn't close it completely. At this point, I seemed to remember that I came here at my own will, and using that will, I should have control. I opened my eyes and whispered out loud, "Break out of the box." I was returned to my room, where I saw those beings moving around as wisps, extremely fast, trying to pull me back. I looked at the clock to see how much time had gone by, and almost couldn't believe that it had only been 4 minutes. Then the minutes melted off the clock. Time didn't matter. Reality, space, the world, none of it mattered. They had me now. They were breaking my reality in front of my eyes, shattering my world, breaking everything in my room, killing everyone, abusing my body laying on the bed, and trying to shut my eyes and steal me away again. They were attacking me in the most spiritual and invasive way. Eventually, they succeeded, and my eyes were forced shut. I was instantly back in the container, but this time, instead of trying to close it, they were reaching in, grabbing my face and forcing me to look, physically turning my head to the right, until I was facing the bottom of the box, and I saw another one of them holding a little ball of blackness, which essentially contained the impossible shapes and the spiral structure from before, and trying to force it in my face. They wanted me in that spiral, and as the others were holding me, one of them tried to force me inside of it, force it over my face and completely put me inside of it. I kept fighting, and they got my head fully inside, of which I remember nothing, but I wouldn't allow myself to surrender to them. I wouldn't give up. Eventually, I guess their time with me was up, and the attack suddenly stopped. They let go, stopped, and all just started staring at me very angrily, as if saying, "We better not see you again." And then I was back. This was absolutely the most intense experience of my life, and I find myself questioning if I will ever use DMT again. I got a couple of strong messages out of this experience, and one of them is that by using our free will, we are supreme. Nothing can control or take that away from you. I think somehow I may have seen past the typical DMT hyperspace and saw who was controlling it. I do not think this is a substance that I should be using unless I become a devoted shaman or such, and am willing to tamper with my very own soul. This is the food for the gods. The infinite knowledge and power of the universe and all things living are undeniably there, and I'm sure if I had gone into the spiral instead of fighting, I would have been beyond mystified, but that isn't for me. The price that comes with is being completely at the will of those DMT entities, and the ones that I encountered most definitely had the most evil of intentions. Everything they are showing me is a distraction being forced in my face so I can't see them and what they're really doing. I also believe that after death, when the DMT is released in my brain and my spirit is released from my body, that's when I will see all of the answers and knowledge. As the human that I am, I cannot possibly contain all knowledge of all beings. That is not for me. I gained more insight out of this experience than I could have imagined, and I feel substantially happier to be grounded on Earth than ever before. I am excited to finish my college education and can't wait for what the future has in store for me, more so in this lifetime than anything else.